I had a divorce checklist. There were only 3 things on it: the house, the shares, and the children. Today was my daughter's 8th birthday. I put a check mark next to the last item. From the moment I discovered Sam's affair to the moment I completed the checklist, 4 years and 9 months had passed. Chapter 1. After the clock struck 12, I pushed open the door to the study. Sam had just finished an online meeting. He pinched the bridge of his nose hard a few times. Are both babies asleep? I nodded and reached out to hand him the document. What good thing is this? He asked with a smile as he took it. A divorce agreement? Why? Sam looked up at me in astonishment. What do you think? I raised my eyes and looked at him, my tone without the slightest warmth. What do you think? His expression changed drastically. You know everything? Chapter 2. When I discovered Sam's affair, my son was 7, and my daughter was a little over 3. The fact that his affair was discovered felt like even heaven couldn't bear to watch anymore and had deliberately handed me a warning. When Lily was 4 months pregnant, she had bleeding during the pregnancy, and Sam took her to the hospital. That was the only time he accompanied her to the hospital. On the day Lily gave birth, he still never showed up. It was clear that he had been very cautious with this relationship. Unfortunately, even the most careful plan had a flaw. By coincidence, at that hospital in Suzhou, a female doctor brushed past the 2 of them, and she had once been my prenatal checkup doctor, because both of my pregnancies had been examined by her. After repeated visits, we became friends thanks to our compatible personalities. She had a very deep impression of Sam. Your husband is very handsome, like that male celebrity I like. So even after so many years, she still recognized him at a glance. Could you have seen wrong? The business trip location he told me wasn't where you are. My heart pounded violently, and my whole body went cold. I felt as if I were on the verge of death. Impossible. My friend's tone was firm and decisive. I even specially found photos from your moments to compare, and confirmed it was your husband. He came in with that woman, and their posture was intimate. Their relationship was definitely not normal. If a patient hadn't suddenly stopped me to talk, I would have gone up and questioned him long ago. When I saw how attentive he was to you during childbirth, I thought he was a good man. Turns out he's just another bastard. She cursed Sam over the phone, while with a boom in my mind, everything went blank except for a loud buzzing. By the time I calmed down, it was already dark. Fortunately, Sam had said he would be away on a business trip for several days. Otherwise, I truly wouldn't have known how to face him. Before I figured out what to do, I didn't want to alert the enemy. I didn't waste time recalling the tiny clues from the past. After all, if a highly intelligent man whose heart had strayed wanted to conceal his tracks, he would definitely put effort into erasing all kinds of traces. I called Cameron. In the past, he had been an expert in insurance anti-fraud, and later he became a private investigator. When he heard that I wanted him to investigate Sam, he wasn't surprised. For a rich man, having a family outside isn't rare. Besides, your Sam is handsome too. Even more women would throw themselves at him. A wave of desolation surged over my heart like a tide. I bit my lower lip hard, until I tasted a faint trace of blood, before I forcibly swallowed down the sourness churning inside me. Cameron, help me investigate. Find out the identity of the woman at the hospital and her relationship with Sam. If she really is Sam's mistress, then investigate the source of all assets under her name, how long she has been involved with Sam, and how many months pregnant she is. Keep following them as long as Sam appears. Take photos for me. Later, I took a deep breath. If the child is born, find a way to get his birth certificate information. In a society ruled by law, I couldn't possibly hire someone to make her miscarry. Then continue following them. Take photos of their family of 3. I said those words through gritted teeth. In short, until I tell you to stop. Keep following them. Chapter 3. 3 days later, Sam came back. There was nothing unusual about him. During this period, Cameron hadn't contacted me. Every day, my heart was full of anxiety, yet a final trace of hope still remained. Could it really be that my friend had seen wrong? Maybe it was just a man who lived 70 or 80% like Sam, and that was why Cameron hadn't found anything. I racked my brain trying to absolve Sam, while glancing at my phone from time to time, afraid of missing the truth from Cameron. I felt as if I were being roasted over a fire, my reason and emotions pulling against each other until I was about to go mad. Mom, what are you doing? Dad bought us so much yummy food. My son happily came over to pull me into the living room. I steadied myself and followed him out. The table was piled full of paper bags, filled with all kinds of food. Sam held our daughter, accompanying her as she picked and chose. I went to Suzhou with a client from Shanghai. These are local specialties. I brought them back for you to try. My heart sank. So he really had gone there. I pressed down all my emotions, reached out to pick up a piece of sesame candy, and asked my daughter, "Baby, do you want to eat this?" My daughter shook her head. Sam suddenly asked, "Do you still have the contact information for that good obstetrician you had before? A friend's wife is pregnant, and I recommended her to him, but he said he couldn't find her appointment slot on the platform." I stuffed the sesame candy my daughter didn't want into my mouth and answered him vaguely. "I lost it long ago. It's not like I'm planning to have a third child, but I heard she resigned." "Where did she go?" "How would I know that?" The sesame candy should have been fragrant and sweet, but in my mouth, it tasted like chewing wax. What my doctor friend said was indeed true. Sam must have noticed her reaction at the time too, and remembered who she was. Whether it was the Suzhou specialties or the contact information, he was testing me step by step. For him, it was best that I appeared completely unaware. But even if I really had heard something and reacted strongly, he had probably already prepared an explanation to deny everything. Sam never fought a battle he wasn't certain of winning. I crushed the remaining sesame candy in my hand into powder, barely managing to maintain a calm expression. At that moment, a phone rang right on time. Chapter 4. The phone that rang was Sam's. He frowned slightly, but still answered it. All right. I know, I'll handle it tomorrow. I'm at home right now. I just got back from a business trip." Although we were sitting very close, the voice on the other end was very soft, and I couldn't hear it at all. He quickly hung up and began playing games with the two children. Our 7-year-old son was passionate about Go. He knew Sam had once won a Go competition and really wanted his father to teach him. Unfortunately, Sam was too busy. Out of 10 times he promised, he broke the appointment 9 times. I simply enrolled my son in Go classes, so he wouldn't keep being disappointed. Sam and our son's Go game had only been going for 10 minutes when his phone rang again. He looked apologetically at our son, then got up and went to the study. I didn't look at him again. I quietly sat in his place and continued placing stones with our son. The phone I had placed on the table beeped, and I received a message. "That woman is named Lily. Just now, because of threatened miscarriage, she went to the hospital again. She and Sam are lovers. They've been involved for more than a year." I slowly closed my eyes, and only after a long while did I open them again. This game had to be played with careful thought. Chapter 5. Sam stayed in the study for an hour before coming out. The whole family sat together and had a quiet dinner. My son no longer pestered his father to play Go. He went back to his room to do homework. I stayed with my daughter and told her a story. Sam came over and sat for a few minutes, then sighed. "I still have a conference call later. The company has been adjusting its business lately, and there's a whole pile of trouble." "Oh, right. When I went to Shanghai this time, Jonathan and the others asked about you. I told them you were doing well, taking care of the 2 kids at home. My solid support." After saying that, he patted my shoulder and returned to the study. I was a little dazed. Jonathan? I could no longer remember how long it had been since I last thought of them. Sam and I were classmates at a 985 university. We both majored in insurance. During our junior year, he confessed to me, and I accepted. After graduation, we joined the same insurance company. 2 years later, we jumped ship together to a startup company. One had to know that opening a private insurance company in China was extremely difficult. The approval rate for insurance licenses was only close to 7%. Just obtaining the license alone was a hell-level difficulty with almost no chance of survival. CEOs came and went, but Sam and I kept gritting our teeth and holding on. Gradually, we rose into management. The old shareholders could not hold out and left one after another. We exhausted every effort before finally persuading several well-funded new shareholders to enter the game. After waves washed away the sand, after several rises and falls, when I was 32, The company finally got on the right track and entered a period of rapid development. Sam was the company's CEO, and I was in charge of business and the marketing department. The shares in our hands became more and more valuable. As long as the company could continue making stable profits, we would meet the conditions to start the IPO process. That year, I became pregnant. Sam's parents immediately pressured us, demanding that we get married at once and keep the child. My heart was also full of conflict. Before this, in order to fight for my career, I had always been very careful with contraception. Now this unexpected little life might truly have some fated connection with me. But I also could not let go of my work. I had fought for so many years, and just as I was about to harvest the results, I was unwilling to leave like this. To put my mind at ease, Sam promised, "Once your maternity leave is over, we'll have my parents and a nanny take care of the baby together. You'll be able to come back to work very soon. Also, now that we have a child, we can't keep renting forever." I spent all my private savings to buy this large flat. Like he was presenting a treasure, he took out the property ownership certificate. My name was the only one on it. I was moved and nodded, agreeing to his proposal. But after our son was born, his parents rushed over to help, only to spend every day criticizing me in every possible way. The conflicts at home grew and spread like vines. Every day, Sam came home after working overtime, only to face the tense standoff between us. His body was tired, and his heart was even more exhausted. Only later did I learn that they were unhappy that the house was under my name. My son works so hard to earn money, and in the end, he bought a house with only your name on it. We, as his parents, haven't even enjoyed any blessings yet. Since the conflict had no room for mediation at all, I gritted my teeth and asked Sam to send them back to their hometown. I had no choice but to give up work and stay home full-time to take care of the child. Sam always said he felt sorry toward me. Occasionally, he also wanted to lend a hand and share the burden, but he was busy all year round, barely touching the ground with his feet, and often went on business trips. In the end, taking care of our son became my responsibility alone. When our son was 3, I became pregnant again. This time, without any struggle, I decided to give birth. As long as there were children at home, it was impossible for both of us to fight for our careers at the same time. I also came to terms with it. I just had not expected that while Sam had me sacrifice my career to become the support behind this family, he would go outside and form another new family. This could be tolerated no longer. Chapter 6. 6 months later, Lily gave birth to a daughter at the hospital in Suzhou. Sam did not appear at the hospital during the entire process, and there was no father's name on the birth certificate. 2 months later, Lily moved with her daughter into a high-end apartment 50 kilometers away from my home. The 130 square meter apartment was neither too big nor too small, just enough to hold the mother and daughter and a live-in nanny. Sam would find an opportunity to visit them once a week, occasionally staying overnight. This apartment was under Lily's name. In addition, there was a 400,000 yuan Audi. When Lily had been in Suzhou, she had been renting. I tugged at the corner of my mouth self-mockingly. He really had not changed even a bit. He had to wait until the woman gave birth to the child before he was willing to provide real property security. Every month, Sam transferred 50,000 yuan to Lily as living expenses. There was also a high-limit credit card. With Sam's current wealth, the little bit he gave Lily really did not count as much. Who knew whether this young girl regretted getting involved with such a stingy old man? Since his money was so hot to use, I might as well use more of it. I immediately set my sights on a fully renovated 500 square meter villa. Sam agreed readily. I took the whole family to view the house. My daughter especially loved the large courtyard that came with the villa, and there was even a pond with koi fish inside. But only a few days later, Sam's parents came over aggressively. It turned out that when my daughter went to her grandmother's house for dinner, she had casually mentioned the fish, and they had coaxed the truth out of her. This time, when buying the house, you absolutely can't put it under your wife's name again. Sam was very helpless. It's marital property, whose name it's under is all the same, but his parents still refused to let it go. Then put it under your name. Sam refused to budge. After all, he had just bought a house for the woman outside. Putting this house under my name was, to him, a form of compensation and balance that could make him feel a little better inside. The two sides remained deadlocked. arguing endlessly. I was utterly fed up. Then put it under your granddaughter's name. That should be fine, right? Our daughter especially likes this house anyway. His parents froze for a moment and did not say no. But then they spoke again. That wouldn't be fair to my grandson. Why should only the granddaughter get something and not the grandson? I waved my hand, then transferred the large flat under my name to him. It has appreciated quickly these past few years, and its price is about the same as the villa now. This time, they were completely satisfied. Sam was both moved and ashamed. Honey, you've really suffered a grievance. In the future, I'll work hard to earn money and buy you another big house. Only under your name. I sneered inwardly. You clearly like this solution too. So what are you pretending for? After returning home, I checked off an item in my hidden notes app. Transfer the houses to the children. Completed. Chapter 7. Perhaps my righteousness regarding the house had moved Sam quite a bit. For 2 weeks in a row, he didn't go over to Lily's place, and even made some time to drink tea with me and talk about the past. Back then, it was so hard for us when we had to beg people. We would wait half a day outside someone's door. I remember that in the end, it was you who rushed up and stopped that CEO, winning us the chance to negotiate. I picked up my teacup and gave a faint mem. Sam was indeed a boss with a sense of the big picture and strategic vision when it came to work. But at the same time, he was also a face-conscious macho man. Back then, when we were nobodies with no influence, all the things that required thick skin were handled by me charging ahead. At that time, he admired me very much and depended on me. Only later, as the company grew bigger and bigger, he had plenty of subordinates willing to charge into battle for him. Naturally, he no longer liked having a family member like me, who would not look up to him. Staying on the team. Later, I also figured it out. His parents finding out about the house purchase. All kinds of conflicts intensifying, and me ultimately resigning to take care of the children probably had his pushing and fueling behind it. Among men who could go from starting with nothing to being rolling in money, how many would not scheme against the person sharing their bed? No wonder girls nowadays are unwilling to endure hardship with men. That is true clarity. Those subordinates of mine can make reports and PowerPoints look pretty, but when it comes to expansion ability, they really can't compare with you. Back then, those proposals you came up with, which one didn't push the company's sales up by a huge margin? What this current group does is all safe and steady. Sigh. With this performance, we're still far from the IPO requirements. Who knows how many years we'll have to struggle before we can go public. Sam was still rambling about all sorts of things going badly at the company. I was getting a little tired of listening. How about I go back to work, and your parents come help out with the kids? The house names have been changed now anyway, so they should be satisfied with me. I looked at him with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. Sam pretended to cough lightly. That won't do. With my parents' education level, they can't handle our son's homework. Our daughter is already learning English in kindergarten. They can't teach that either. I rolled my eyes. As long as you know, I'm not wasting time with you anymore. I'm going to read picture books to our daughter. His phone was turned face down on the table. He had deliberately put it on silent and even turned off vibration. But unless someone was blind, there was no way to miss the screen lighting up and dimming again and again. According to Cameron, that child had been sick these past few days, and Lily had been making a scene every day, demanding that Sam go see them. I was too lazy to watch Sam's reaction. The farther I stayed from him, the better. Chapter 8. At the end of the year, Sam's chief assistant got married and invited our whole family to attend. At the banquet, there were many new faces. Only a few senior executives and shareholders were old familiar faces I still recognized. Sis, you finally showed up. The current marketing director, Romeo, greeted me warmly. He could be considered someone I had personally trained, and our relationship had always been good. After exchanging a few pleasantries with him, I directly asked, "The other day, I heard Sam losing his temper on the phone. Is there a problem with the spokesperson for the new product?" Romeo pulled a bitter face. We found several middle-aged male actors, but Sam wasn't satisfied with any of them, saying they didn't have enough traffic. The younger ones with traffic aren't married, so they don't fit our new insurance product series built around the concept of family. I looked at him, my fingertips rubbing the rim of my glass, looking as if I wanted to say something but hesitated. Romeo's eyes lit up. "Sis, I remember you used to be the best at coming up with creative moves. If you have any good ideas, hurry up and say them. Help your little brother out." I picked up my phone and showed him. A video of Little M's new product launch was playing on it, with the leader standing at the center of the stage, speaking eloquently. The comments and bullet comments below were dense and endless. Then I lifted my chin and pointed toward Sam. "The image and bearing of my Sam aren't bad, right?" Romeo immediately became excited. "More than not bad. The boss is publicly recognized as the most handsome man in our company. He has also accepted a few interviews before, so he has a certain level of public recognition. Add to that his happy marriage with you and 2 adorable children, and he is absolutely the best spokesperson." I smiled and gave him a few more pointers. "For this matter, it's best to act first and report later. Sam has always kept a low profile, so he might not be willing. Also, absolutely don't say I suggested it. Otherwise, he'll definitely come trouble me." Romeo smiled until his eyes narrowed. I understand, sis. Let me toast you." We casually chatted a little more about the details of the matter. When the banquet ended, I saw him dash over to several vice presidents and investors, talking with animated enthusiasm. I raised my glass and toasted myself again. Chapter 9. At first, Sam declined in every possible way. After all, he had a guilty conscience, but he could not withstand the strong persuasion of the other senior executives. Add to that the investors also approving of the plan, and in the end, he still stepped onto the stage and became the spokesperson for the company's Happy Family product series. 3 months later, Sam's posters were everywhere. He frequently participated in all kinds of interviews, especially focusing on discussing his family values and insurance philosophy. The company's product sales climbed steadily. Sometimes, when our whole family went out to eat, people would even come over to ask him for photos. Working out, dieting, and anti-aging cosmetic treatments gradually became fixed parts of his daily routine. Never missed. Sam never set foot in the residence of Lily and her daughter again, but he increased the living expenses to $80,000. Lily's side also stopped making a fuss. It was clear that he very much enjoyed this kind of life. I told you, men, who wouldn't want to become a big-shot CEO? Only once, when he was speaking eloquently on television about how he participated in raising his children, our son passed by and said, "He hasn't even finished one game of Go with me." Chapter 10. Riding on this momentum, 3 years later, the company's sustained performance reached the requirements for the corresponding IPO board, and preparations began to launch the IPO process. Sam also became a household name representative of a successful good man. My son was 12 years old and had already entered an international middle school. My daughter was also studying in the elementary division of the same school and was about to celebrate her 8th birthday. Lily's daughter had also reached the age to attend kindergarten, and Sam arranged for her to enter a nearby kindergarten. In these past few years, Sam had only taken the initiative to look for Lily once, because Lily thought the public kindergarten her daughter attended was too low class and made a fuss, wanting the child to enter the same international school as my daughter. She kept calling Sam, saying she was going to go to the company to look for him. Sam was furious. In the middle of the night, he went over and scolded her harshly, then cut off her money for 2 months. Lily immediately behaved. Actually, I quite admired Sam's eye for people. He had found a mistress he could absolutely control. Lily's parents lost their son in middle age, then had this daughter through IVF. They had originally been ordinary wage workers, and because they were trying to conceive, the family's money had been more or less drained. Her mother gave birth at an advanced age, and her health had always been poor. When Lily was 15, she passed away. Lily's father suddenly suffered a cerebral hemorrhage when she was in her final year of high school. After dragging on for half a year, he also passed away. Lily got into a junior college and studied there for 2 years. When the company was hiring a receptionist, she submitted her resume. Somehow, Sam saw it and developed an interest. A young girl with no one to rely on was naturally easy to coax, deceive, and control. At such a young age, she was kept as a hidden mistress and even gave birth to a child. When Cameron told me this, he sighed with emotion. The girl is quite pitiful. I was speechless. Have you grown attached after watching her for years? No. Cameron hurriedly waved his hand. She's about the same age as my daughter. I just think her life has been a little hard. Having a hard life wasn't her choice, but becoming a kept mistress was a path she chose herself. Think about your daughter. If one day she gets married, and her husband keeps a mistress outside and has a child with her, and that mistress has an even harder life than Lily, would you pity that mistress? Cameron immediately shut his mouth, his expression awkward. Enough. Organize all the photos and materials you have and send them to me. I'll settle the final payment. And this case ends here. Cameron froze for a moment. What are you planning to do next? I smiled. Naturally. Whatever makes me happy. Chapter 11. Finally. It was my daughter's 8th birthday. I reminded Sam a week in advance, and he said he would come home early. That day, I ordered 2 cakes. One was an 8-inch birthday cake for my daughter, and the other was a small tiramisu I preferred. I secretly took one of my daughter's candles and lit it for myself. I stared at the candle flame for so long that my eyes began to sting before I finally blew it out and ate the entire piece of tiramisu alone. After that, I carefully read through the printed divorce agreement one last time and neatly signed my name. Sam only got home at 6:30, bringing my daughter an exquisite formal dress. Without even thinking, I knew he had not chosen it himself. A few days ago, Cameron mysteriously sent me several photos, saying they were a complimentary service for me, his premium client. In the photos, Sam and a beautifully made-up woman got out of a car together. Sam got out first and gentlemanly held his hand above her head to keep her from bumping into anything. If not for the note beside the photo, who could have guessed that this was the CEO and his newly appointed female secretary? However, Sam is probably taking his public image into consideration. At present, the two of them still have a pure superior-subordinate relationship. But, well, I'm a man too. It's only a matter of time. And this lady is not someone easy to deal with. I won't go into the details. That belongs to the paid service. Hee. I wasn't very surprised by this. When men cheat, there is only once or countless times. Sam had become so cold toward Lily. Clearly, he had lost interest in her. He was now a public figure, and the company was about to go public. His net worth was different now, so naturally he wanted to find a higher-level confidant. Only, fame and profit are double-edged swords. If he wanted to have everything both ways, he would eventually have to pay a price. After dinner, I settled the 2 children and walked toward the study. I had no interest in playing Tai Chi with him, so I directly handed him the divorce agreement. Why? Sam's surprise was not an act. Over these years, on the surface, there had been no major conflicts or contradictions between us. In his eyes, he had already done a very good job in the roles of husband and father. What do you think? Did you really think you were an absolutely perfect good man? A mocking smile pulled at my face. Sam's expression changed. How long have you known? 4 years and 8 months. I answered him word by word. Chapter 12. Sam raised a hand and rubbed his face. Selena, I was wrong about this. Give me a chance to explain. During that period, the work pressure was intense, and you had to take care of the 2 children. I had no one to talk to. I felt miserable inside. So for a moment, my head got muddled and I got involved with Lily. That child was also an accident. I originally wanted to force her to abort it, but she said her parents were both gone, that she didn't have a single relative left in this world. So she wanted a child to keep her company. That was why I agreed. I only softened for a moment because I pitied her. I was wrong. I raised my eyes to look at him. So in this world, you're the only affectionate and righteous married old man who could give her a home, right? Sam smiled bitterly. You can say whatever you want about me, as long as it lets you vent your anger. But Selena, I've never thought about divorcing you. In my heart, I only acknowledge you and our 2 children. Really, I'm not lying to you. I haven't gone to see them in a very long time. I've always regretted doing something that betrayed you. Give me some time. I'll cut things off with them as soon as possible, and I'll never contact them again. For the sake of the 2 children, give me another chance. Can we not divorce? I gave a cold laugh. Ask yourself honestly, you didn't go see them because you felt sorry toward me? Or because after giving birth, Lily got fat and ugly, and you became less and less interested? Is it because you're afraid that if people find out about you and her, your good man image will be ruined? Or perhaps because you found a new target who suits your tastes better? For example, The secretary who goes in and out with you every day? Sam's pupils suddenly contracted. You hired someone to watch me? Yes, I admitted it openly. The photos in the document folder were hard to come by and cost me a large sum of money. When you have time, you can slowly enjoy them. Enough. Don't act in front of me anymore. I am absolutely getting this divorce. Hurry up and read the agreement. Then sign it. Sam's shoulders collapsed instantly. After a long silence, he finally picked up the divorce agreement and began reading it. But after no more than 5 seconds, he suddenly jumped up, slamming his palm hard onto the table. Impossible. There's no way I'll agree to these terms. Dream on. Dream on? I lifted the teacup beside me and took a sip, replying unhurriedly. Every clause in here is reasonable and backed by evidence. Even if we go to court, the result will be the same. How is that possible? Sam was furious and flustered. How could both children possibly be awarded to you? At the very least, it would be one child each, according to relevant legal provisions. If they are 8 years old or above, when their parents divorce, they have the right to choose which parent they want to live with. The law will also consider the children's own wishes when deciding custody. I'm certain they will only choose me. If you don't believe me, why don't you ask them? Which one of them would be willing to go with you? Your son started learning Go when he was 7, and now he's 12. How many complete games have you ever played with him? Your daughter's dance performances and singing competitions, how many times have you gone to watch? When they got sick and went to the hospital. When the school held parent-teacher meetings. When they attended all kinds of interest classes, from childhood until now. Which of these things wasn't I the one who accompanied them? Sam's face went pale, but he still refused to accept it. Wasn't I busy earning money to support the family? Without me working hard outside, how could they have such good living conditions? I echoed him. Exactly. You even worked hard enough to produce an illegitimate daughter. Truly impressive. My words blocked him, and his face turned red and white with anger. You don't need to struggle anymore. If it weren't because a child must be at least 8 before having the right to choose independently, I would never have wasted so many years with you. Sam's gaze changed. No wonder you were so generous about the houses. Selena, you were waiting here to scheme against me. I snorted coldly. I schemed against you? The house and car you bought Lily, the money you spent on her every month, all of that came from our marital property. Isn't that scheming? You had a child out of wedlock outside. In the future, that child would compete with our son and daughter for resources and family assets. Isn't that scheming? What? Only you're allowed to scheme against us, but I can't scheme back? Sam lowered his head in defeat. We've been husband and wife for so many years. How did a perfectly good family end up like this? My face was expressionless. I had absolutely no desire to respond to this kind of nonsense. Chapter 13. Divorce is the same as going to war. Once one side seizes the initiative and momentum, the other side can only collapse like a defeated army. Our premarital shares remain with their original owners. The shares you received after marriage, my portion should be converted into cash. The money you spent on Lily, I've made a list. Return it. As for the family savings, I get 60% and you get 40%, because you are the party at fault. I've calculated the child support for both children until adulthood. You will pay it in one lump sum. As for the 2 cars at home, one for each of us. I looked at him and said the final sentence with neither too much nor too little emphasis. I'll emphasize it again. All of these are lawful and reasonable requests. If you disagree, we can go to court, and the result should not be much different. Sam fell silent again. This time, the silence lasted even longer. I did not rush him. The person holding the winning hand is the calmest and naturally in no hurry. He leaned back against the chair and closed his eyes. After a very long time, he let out a heavy breath, his voice tired and low. Fine. Every amount has been calculated clearly. I have nothing to say. I accept this divorce agreement. I'll sign it. After receiving the signed agreement, the heavy stone in my heart finally landed. In my heart, I silently checked off another item on my divorce checklist. But, Selena, I have one request. Right now, the company is in a critical period. We must announce the reason for our divorce cautiously. I'll have the lawyer draft a supplementary agreement. I hope you'll sign it during the divorce cooling-off period. We built this company together for many years. You don't want it destroyed because of us either, right? I tugged at the corner of my mouth. smiling without warmth. I understand what you mean. Don't worry, I'll definitely cooperate. A few days later, I received the electronic version of that supplementary divorce agreement. The wording was professional, and each clause was especially detailed. I raised an eyebrow and casually tossed my phone aside. At that moment, I was traveling outside with the 2 children to relax. I had solemnly told them about the divorce. Although they were sad, they still tried their best to understand my choice. Seeing that I had not signed and sent it back, Sam became anxious and kept calling me. Selena, didn't you agree that you would sign it? My tone was relaxed. Don't rush. I'll give you an explanation for this matter. A hint of threat appeared in Sam's voice. Selena, if you don't sign it, then I won't recognize that divorce agreement. If we die together. I was too lazy to keep entangling with him. With one press of my finger on the screen, I hung up directly. It was not until the day before the cooling-off period ended that I returned home. After taking a shower and relaxing completely, I called Sam. I added some clauses to that agreement and sent it to you. As expected, less than a minute later, the phone rang. Sam's voice was deafening. Selena, you've gone too far. You won't even let go of the last bit of shares I have. I answered lazily. Putting your shares into a trust and designating the annual dividends to the 2 children doesn't give me any personal benefit. The voting rights are still in your hands, and it won't affect your ability to continue being CEO. What are you so worked up about? Didn't you say that in this life you only acknowledge me and these 2 children of yours? These worldly possessions, what's wrong with giving them to them earlier? Sam laughed in anger. So in this life, I'm just working for them. Is that it? I nodded. What else? You owe them a complete family. As far as I'm concerned, this is a debt you need to spend your whole life repaying. Sam hung up with a snap. I applied a face mask and lay down. No rush. He would recognize reality. Chapter 14. At 9:30 that night, Sam rushed back home. Selena, was it you who released the news that you're going to sell your shares? Yes. After all, since we can't reach a supplementary agreement and you refuse to divorce under my conditions, then we can only face each other in court. Your affair definitely won't be hidden from the outside world. If I sell the shares first, I can still get a bit more money for them. Besides, those are premarital assets. They have nothing to do with you. He glared at me and squeezed out a sentence through gritted teeth. You really have thought through every possible escape route. I nodded seriously. Yes, this is the fallback plan. In any case, I was determined to get this divorce. If we ended up filing a lawsuit in court, then his affair with Lily would inevitably be made public. There was solid evidence of his cheating, and the court would not waste time dragging things out for mediation. The distribution of the houses, the children, and the family savings would not change. As for child support, if he still cared about Face, he would not dare give too little. The only pity was that the shares would depreciate. But as long as I divorced quickly, they would still be worth something. Together with the shares I had sold in advance, living without worries would not be a problem at all. So in this matter, the initiative was in my hands. You choose. Either sign the supplementary agreement according to my terms, get the divorce certificate tomorrow, and we part on good terms. I'll cooperate with your public statement that we separated peacefully. You can continue being your glorious CEO and product spokesperson, and the company's IPO can continue moving forward. Or I sell my shares first, then file a lawsuit in court. Although it will be a hassle for a while, the final outcome should still be within my expectations. It's just that you and the company will probably go through some turbulence for a while. We built this company together for many years. You don't want it destroyed because of us either, right? I returned that sentence to him, word for word. Sam was so furious that his voice suddenly rose. Aren't you afraid I'll expose this matter first and we'll both go down together? I glanced at him as if I were looking at an idiot. If you expose it, aside from being removed from your position, the damage caused will still be just as bad. Your image and the company's reputation have long been tied together. You'll have vented your anger. Sure, but have you thought about our son and daughter? What you'd be smashing is their living expenses. Sigh. I let out a sigh. And to think I haven't even told them about what you did outside. He froze. You didn't tell them? I said calmly. At first, I thought divorce was a matter between us adults. It shouldn't affect the children. If you insist on making this huge by going to court, then after they learn the truth, I can't guarantee what they'll think of you. After all, in their eyes right now, aside from being too busy and not having time to accompany them, in every other aspect, you're still a good father. Sam, you should be able to see that everything I'm fighting for is for the 2 children, but I hope what they receive won't just be houses, shares, and money. I won't deprive you of your rights as a father. I hope that throughout their growth in the future, they will continue to have a tall, admirable father figure accompanying them. I knew Sam's work ability very well. If I cooperated with him and helped him get through this hurdle, the company would continue growing bigger and stronger in the future, and the wealth he would have would be far more than what was in front of us now. Only an idiot would push away a father who minted gold coins. Sam's eyes gradually reddened. In the end, he said hoarsely, "Fine, we'll do it your way." I could hear that this time. He was truly willing. That night, I took out my little notebook and, fully satisfied, checked off the final item. At long last, the great task was complete. Chapter 15. Early the next morning, Sam and I calmly collected our divorce certificates. When we parted, he suddenly said, "I know you were the one who encouraged Romeo to make me the spokesperson." I shrugged. I also know that back then, when your parents refused to properly help me take care of the children, you were the one who stirred things up. Everything was understood without needing to be said. He looked at me, his gaze fervent. "See? We're clearly a match made in heaven. If I keep myself clean from now on, is there any chance we could?" I gently waved my hand and declined. It was still that old saying, when a man cheats, the only difference is between once and countless times. And next time, you won't be this easy to scheme against.